Okay, welcome. My name is Steve Harari. I want to welcome everyone today to the Staffingbook Recruiter webinar. And we're going to go for about 35-40 minutes, including a in-depth demonstration of how recruiters can use the Staffingbook system. So let's get started. And by the way, I would be able to see questions if you want to type in a question. There's quite a number of people on the line, but if you type in a question, I will try and note your question and either answer it as we go or answer it at the end. Thank you. Just briefly, my background, I founded Staffingbook in 2010. I've been involved in building a number of internet-based businesses. This is a very exciting venture for me, my first venture in the staffing and recruiting space. So enough said about that. We are the marketplace for passive candidates, placing professionals in technology, finance, and accounting. We really have three types of users. We have candidates, recruiters, such as the majority of you on the line. When we say recruiter, we're referring to a agency recruiter, someone who typically earns a placement fee for placing a candidate. And we also have users that are employers. These are typically in-house recruiters, hiring managers, HR staff. Why become a Staffingbook network recruiter in the first place? We think there are a number of reasons that would motivate you. We'll cover a number of these during today's presentation, but the opportunity to make more placements, engage with more employers, mentor and engage with more passive candidates, add leverage to your business versus chasing job orders, and a chance to really differentiate yourself and your firm. I think that will come out as you look at this. This, everyone, is a brief model, if you will, financial model that describes what a single recruiter we believe could achieve in Staffingbook with the proper amount of dedication and focus. And specifically, this is a path to billing up to $350,000 per year for a single recruiter. The key to this model, and again, this is yet to be proven as we're a new product, new offering, but the number of sponsored candidates here in this first column, as you move down these phases from plant to nurture to grow to harvest, you're building a sponsored candidate pool from just a few, potentially all the way up to 250 candidates. And again, these are candidates that you incrementally build, you add them as you go. The majority of the recruiters that I know are talking to a dozen people per day. You're doing reference checks, you're sourcing. It's a great way to build a candidate pool as you go for candidates that you don't have an immediate opportunity to place them against. The math is fairly simple. Based on the number of sponsored candidates, you produce a number of candidate inquiries. We're estimating that an average of 3 inquiries per candidate will occur in a given year. And for every inquiry, we're estimating that there will be, for every 5 inquiries, we're estimating 1 interview, and for every 5 interviews, 1 placement. So it's kind of a sales funnel, if you will. You go from 100 down to 12, actually down to 3. So again, using average placement fees, we used a weighted average of about $11,000 or $12,000. Some of you may be higher, some of you may be lower. We factored in some temporary contract placements as well. If you get into the 100 candidates and up, quality candidates with skill sets and credentials, and you focus on responding to the inquiries that result for your candidates, and we think you can be in this 240 to 350 range. So think about that. Another key concept just before we move into the demonstration is the building of your passive candidate pool. This is something that I think the audience could educate me on, but you have so many sources to build a candidate pool from. You have prior placements, you have reference contact checks, your school, your children's school, community, church groups, newspaper articles, trade journals, parties you attend, New Year's parties, holiday gatherings. many ways to collect passive candidates. And a four-step approach, we're not going to go through it today, but once you've identified them, then you approach them. Mobilize is essentially getting them to getting their profile in the system, and then mentoring them is essentially our terminology for staying in touch with them, reviewing opportunities with them as they come about, realizing that a passive candidate is not going to jump at the first opportunity that presents itself. Just a few rules of engagement and changes we've observed specific to employers. We've observed much more reliance on the web versus the phone and fax machine. I think everyone would acknowledge that. I mean, the phone isn't going away, but the web is certainly a very acceptable means for acquiring information, communicating. Resumes are slowly but surely giving way to online profiles, social media profiles, profiles like you find on LinkedIn, for example. Working with familiar recruiters is always going to be, I think, an advantage, but employers are more and more open to working with new recruiters, people they've met on the web, people they've met on LinkedIn. Pre-existing terms, in many cases we're seeing more market-driven terms, terms that are flexible, that are modified on a candidate-specific basis, perhaps. Physical location, the internet, and the web really make your location a bit less of a critical factor. And of course, one-to-one connections are largely being complemented with a marketplace type environment. Quickly, what we're going to cover today, and I'm about to show you, is how to build your profile as a recruiter, how to invite and sponsor candidates, how to protect your candidates, make sure that they cannot be pirated by others, how to verify your candidates, how to invite employers to come look at your specific candidates, responding to inquiries from employers, negotiating fees and terms, and printing out the final agreement that you negotiate. We'll also touch on how much does it cost to use Staffingbook, and we'll have some open time for any questions that any of you may wish to ask. And again, just as a reminder, you can type in a question, and I'll try and see it while I'm talking, or you can actually ask it. You can raise your hand at the end, and I'll unmute you, and you can actually ask the question live. Let's go to the demonstration now. So I'm going to go into the Staffingbook demonstration system. Now I'm going to actually log in as a recruiter. So imagine that this is you logging in. And I see my basic profile, my quick profile. This is an image that I've uploaded. This is hopefully not your office where you're climbing a stack of papers that's 20 feet high. Every account has a home page. Your home page is organized by activity, actions that you need to take or have taken, sponsorship requests, candidates you wish to sponsor or candidates that have approached you regarding sponsorship, and messages. So again, an active home page where you can continuously monitor activity on your overall account. If we go to candidates, which is really a key area to talk about, a recruiter in the Staffingbook system wants to be sponsoring candidates. We've talked about building your pool of candidates. Ideally, they're a large percentage of passive candidates, but they may be some actively looking candidates. In this job market, there are some highly credentialed professionals out there, some with jobs, some without jobs. But these sponsored candidates are either active or inactive in the system. You show the date that they were sponsored. And you have an activity menu over here on the side. Let's look at John Smith. We can edit John's profile. Again, these are candidates I'm sponsoring. When you're sponsoring a candidate, if they are placed with an employer, the commission is yours. So I think that's clear. By the way, Staffingbook does not take any percentage of that placement fee. We're a subscription-based model that we'll talk about in a few minutes. So 100% of the placement fee negotiated between yourself and the employer is yours. You can edit the profile. You can send a message to John Smith. You can view inquiries from him. You can make an assessment of him, which is visible to employers. You can, of course, cancel your sponsorship, or you can view the public profile. Let's look at the profile as if we were going to edit it for a moment. I just want to get you familiar a bit with. So here's John Smith. I don't know if you have candidates that may look like this, but this is John Smith, sponsored by yourself. This is you down here, Barber Recruiter. You always have a way to know who's looking at a particular screen. In case you wish, this is you, Barber Recruiter, and here you are sponsoring this candidate, John Smith. If we go to John's detailed profile, we'll see that there is a fair bit of information on him that's in the system. So here we have John's detailed profile, and you can see title, additional titles, experience. If you click edit, you can change any of this information. Let's say he's now worked, he's got 8 years of experience. You can add industries that he has worked in. You can say that he is open to a contract position in addition to direct hire and contract to hire. Anytime you make changes, you're going to want to save your changes. So here we select save. And then moving down a bit further, I want to really emphasize this skills session. And when I'm going to show you in a minute how you can import candidate profiles directly from LinkedIn. And LinkedIn has added a skills section. I think the majority of you will be aware of that. You can import those skills directly. And in Staffingbook, we ask you to assign a proficiency rating to the skill. So, for example, C++, maybe they're not an expert. They're actually proficient. So, again, you have the ability to edit these skill sets. You can, information on citizenship, educational level, languages spoken, current company they may work for, previous company. And by the way, this is the detailed profile. An employer coming is not going to see all this information. We're going to show you how the information is presented and certain information is concealed to protect the identity of the candidate. There's also a work culture set of questions and an opportunity to apply references. So let's save this, and let's go back where we were to John Smith in the candidate list. And I want to show you the difference between the public profile we just looked at, or the profile we just did look at, and that we edited, and the public profile. Excuse me for getting confused there for a moment. But the public profile that I'm going to show you now is what employers would see. And as you can see, this is what we call the protected profile. It's a very different ballgame. There's no name, there's no photo. You can see that they're sponsored by Barber Recruiter. If I want to see information on Barbara, I can look at her profile. Availability, skill sets. They don't show the school that he graduated from. We don't show his current company. We do show previous companies. We don't show the work culture information, and we certainly don't show the references at this stage. So this is the public profile that is a privacy-protected profile, privacy-enabled, I should say. So your candidate cannot be easily scooped up without going through you. Every contact with a candidate goes through the recruiter in the Staffingbook system. Let's say we wanted to add a new candidate to your list of 8 here. We would select Add a New Candidate, and we can just type in a name, brief email address, zip code. We have to indicate whether the candidate is a technology professional or a finance and accounting person. So this is the way our system, we're really focused on professionals and people working in those two spaces. So it's helpful to know which space we're talking about. Let's say that Janet is a finance and accounting person. We can save them. If we go back to our list of candidates, We do find that Janet Nance has been added here. She's inactive at this moment. If we need to invite her, which is a next step, again, you've done this, in a matter of seconds so far. We select Invite Candidate right here. I'm going to select Invite Candidate. And an email is queued up to Janet Nance from you, sent via the Staffingbook system, indicating that we think you're a strong candidate for a privacy-protected profile in Staffingbook. Only you can activate your profile, so please click on the link below. And there's some basic instructions. You click here, you can send this invite, and you're off to the races. Janet Nance is receiving a message from you inviting her to join Staffingbook. So that's one of several ways that candidates can enter the system. Another way for you to build a profile for Janet Nance is to go to the LinkedIn connections up here, select that, and this allows you to import candidates, first level candidates from your LinkedIn connections list. So here's my LinkedIn connection list. Each of us has our own. I have quite a number of candidates here. So let's just select one, Thomas Ream. If I select Tom, let's see what happens. Basically a pre-populated LinkedIn populated Staffingbook profile is produced. And so with a few additional entries or deletions, depending upon what information I want to display, I can click down here and add this candidate. I'm not going to add this candidate now, but we've made it very easy to get information into the system. Once you've added them, you want to invite them, and again, you're off to the races. If we go back to, let's move off of candidates, let's go to something we call lists. You can organize your candidates into particular groupings or lists. Here we have web developers, I have 4 of them. Database architects, I have 3 of them. If I select database architects, I can view the candidates that I have in the database architect group. And of high value, we believe, I can forward this list of profiles, protected profiles. Here I'm going to forward the list to a particular employer. So I can send this to John at abc.com. John, take a look. So I can send that email. And again, what John is going to receive, as you can sort of see below, is not information that's going to allow him to contact these candidates directly. It's going to be information that's going to allow him to determine these are skill sets that are of interest. I'd like to find out more. I'm going to have to talk to this recruiter and pursue it. So you can send this email. And this list has been emailed to the employer. So again, a way to reach out in a kind of new fashion to employers with specific candidates you think you want to promote. Inquiries, the last section we'll talk about for the recruiter. You have a running log of all inquiries. Typically inquiries are from employers, typically regarding a particular candidate. If I look at one here, this one is awaiting the recruiter. This is from Aerospace Avionics for a contract development engineer of mine. Let's view the details. And just to kind of navigate your way through this, so here you are, you're the sponsor. Here's the candidate. Candidate's name is Roscoe Bosco. He's a government budgets wizard. The inquiry is from a company called Aerospace Avionics. There's information on them here. There's brief job order, description, key guy to join team of open source web developers. Very strong in Java, Ruby on Rails, and PHP. Probably not a government budgets wizard that you'd need for this job, but this is a good demonstration example. This is a inquiry already in process. The employer is offering $75 an hour. They originally offered $50, but you had declined. So now they're offering $75 an hour. You can agree and accept the terms here and accept this contract. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to agree to the additional terms, net 15 payment, and I'm going to accept the contract because the $75 an hour billing rate for this individual is a very good one. So I accept the contract, but before I accept it, it's reminding me you're entering into a binding fee agreement that applies to this specific candidate. Do you still wish to proceed? I'm going to say okay. Again, we want to be very clear with people that they're actually entering into an agreement here. So here we have status has been accepted. We can view the final contract. So let's view the final contract. And I wanted to show you that, so here we are, Barber Recruiter in Aerospace Avionics. And if I move to the bottom of the agreement, it should be populated, and it is. This is a specific inquiry reference number. This is a indexed reference that we can return to later if there's any question. The billing rate was $75 an hour. The additional terms were net 15, different than the standard agreement. The date of the agreement is today, and now we're able to reveal the name of the candidate, Roscoe Bosco. So there's a 6-month tail on this agreement, so should this candidate be placed in any position with that employer for 6 months, you're entitled to that's a commissionable placement. So the agreement is designed to protect both the recruiter and the employer. There was one other inquiry we might just check quickly here. Here's a new inquiry came in. Let's see what that one. Again, just imagine this is how you're operating as a recruiter. You have a inquiry that's come in for one of your software engineers, Cindy Faber. This is a unusual looking software engineer. Company XYZ Systems is proposing a fee of 25% of salary on a direct hire basis. The position is direct hire. The previous position that we looked at was a contract position. No additional terms or stipulations. I'm delighted to accept this inquiry at 25%. I know the candidate. I've interviewed them, but 25% would be a tremendous windfall to place that. So I'm going to accept this contract. Yes, I know it's a binding fee agreement. And I can view the final contract. Let's look at it real quickly. Here it is. Let's look at the terms at the bottom. No additional terms. 25% of salary is the fee. Inquiry reference number. Date of the agreement. Name of the candidate. So we're all set. You can print this out just like you would a contract that you fax back and forth. So it's all right there. The system keeps a copy online at all times, so you're covered. Both parties can reference the agreement if there's any questions. Let's log out as a recruiter and log in briefly as an employer. I wanted to show you a little bit about that, and then we're almost near the finish line here. So employers have interface not too different from a recruiter. They have their home page with their messages. They have their profile. They have activities. One thing they have that's a little different, they have job orders. They enter specific requirements, and then they run those searches against the system's database. So searching for candidates, they're sourcing for candidates. And they can search. I'm going to do a quick search. Let's say we're looking for someone with Java background. Produce 5 candidates that match. Let's say that there's one here that's particularly interesting to us down here. Skill sets we're looking for. We can view the more detailed profile if we wish. We can send a message to this recruiter. Cannot send a message to this candidate because all communication goes through the recruiter. We can generate an inquiry, add them to our short list. Let's generate a quick candidate inquiry to show you how that works. So I have to assign a job order. Let's say it's a web developer. There's my brief job description. I'm willing to pay 20% of annual salary on a direct hire basis. I have no additional terms that I wish to enter, and so I simply submit. So that has just gone out. I can quickly log out and log back in as a recruiter. Look for my inquiries. There it is right there. A new inquiry has just come in. Let's check the details. They're offering 20% of salary, no additional terms, direct hire. I can agree to the contract terms. I can counter. Let's say they'd offered me 5% of salary, and I'm not going to do that. So I could counter at a different fee. I could say it's got to be 25%. Countered. I know it's a binding offer, so I say okay. So I think you get a basic idea for, I've gone through this information quite quickly, but let's return back to the PowerPoint slides for just a few more minutes. What we've covered, I realize it was done quite rapidly, but we've talked about why you might want to become a Staffingbook Network recruiter in the first place, path to billing $350,000 a year, steps to building a candidate pool. We didn't really go through that in detail. We showed you what the 4 steps were, essentially identifying, approaching, mobilizing, and then mentoring. Talked about some of the ways the industry is changing and new rules of engagement. And we demonstrated how to build a profile. We didn't really talk in too much detail about building your profile, but when you apply to become a Staffingbook Network recruiter, you fill out a brief application form, which is online. We take that information and build most of your profile for you. So once that's complete, you simply need to upload a company logo or an image or a photo of yourself and set your settings, and then you're ready to go. You then invite and sponsor candidates. We showed you a bit about that. We talked quite a bit about the protection for the candidates. How does Staffingbook verify your candidate? I did not actually show you that, but it did show you the assessment form. You simply click on that and go through a few brief questions regarding your candidates, how you know them, have you interviewed them, what information that they have you verified. I did show you how to invite employers to view specific candidates or lists of candidates. We did respond to an employer inquiry. We talked about placement fees and terms, and I did show you how to print out the final agreement. So covered those items. How much does it cost? At present, there is no cost to put up to 10 candidates in the system. So a recruiter can sponsor up to 10 candidates in the system at no charge, receive employer inquiries, and hopefully place candidates and earn placement fees, all at no cost. We have incremental features, what we call premium features, which allow you to do some additional things, broadcast your requirements, have more of a heavily branded website, pursue split commissions, things like that. Those are monthly subscriptions. You do pay for those. We're actually in the process right now of establishing what the prices for those are. Those will be announced this spring. So basically you can start using the system and start doing business on Staffingbook at no charge. If anyone has any questions that they want to type in, I haven't actually seen any. I just checked that have typed in. There's quite a number of you on the line, but feel free to type in a question. Just some final closing thoughts, and we're just about to wrap up in the next few minutes. We're very committed to your success as an outside recruiter. We are only going to succeed if you succeed. So, we want you to make more placements, meet more employers, mentor more passive candidates, really add leverage to your business. I think you can see the leverage here. I mean, you're basically, or if you can build a passive candidate pool of some quality, you're sitting on a gold mine, because employers are going to come to you with interest in your candidates. I mean, it really kind of turns things upside down, if you will, relative to developing clients and building your business. And I think you'll clearly be differentiated from your competition if you're working in this kind of model. And by the way, it maybe goes without saying, but we don't expect that a recruiter is going to drop everything they're doing to become a 100% Staffing Book network recruiter. We think it's something that you will allocate time towards, and as it proves to be successful for you, you will move more and more of your activity to Staffing Book. But it doesn't require you to leap off the bridge and hope you land in the water. Just in closing, let me thank you for attending, and feel free to contact myself, Steve Harari, or Joanne Schumacher, our Vice President of Subscriber Services. And again, we wish you all the best of luck, and look forward to talking to you on Staffing Book. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.